Hello everyone. Today I'm going to do a solo game of Glass Road. Now in Glass Road you get your starting selection of cards to choose from, which are all laid out in front of me here. In a solo game, however, you pick a differing number of them depending on the round. So in round 1 we get 3, in round 2 we get 4, so on and so forth. You get a random selection of them until you are down to 2 remaining cards. You then get to pick out of those 2 which one you want to have as your last card, and then the final card is just discarded without being used, along with all the other cards you use that particular round. We'll see how that works when we get to it. So to start with, these are the buildings that we can choose from. The top row of buildings are those that give you ongoing benefits, usually goods conversions. The middle row are ones that give you an immediate one-time use for placing them, and the bottom ones are your points generation that hopefully you'll have met to the best of your abilities at the end of the game so you can generate the most points. And then you have several inbuilt point scoring buildings on the left hand side of your board that you can cover up if you wish to do so as the game progresses. So looking at the ones we've got available, I quite like the idea of the Glazier's Workshop, which is 1 point for every glass that we've used, i.e. used to build buildings. So I think we'll try and go for that to start with. Now that requires wood, clay and brick. And looking at our goods available, we have no brick, we do have the clay, and we do have the wood. So we just need to generate 1 brick, which will be some charcoal necessary, because when you generate the charcoal, like so, that will then shift the wheel around, consuming the various resources and giving us 1 brick. So we do need some charcoal. And it's always a good idea as well to probably have one of the ongoing benefit buildings that you can try and levy to the best of its ability. So we can see the carving workshop would give us a lot of food in exchange for wood, and it requires glass, so that will help for the Glazier's Workshop when we built it. So yes, in order to get that we need a wood and a glass. Well, again we have no glass, so we need at least some sand to then move the wheel round and generate glass for us. So, all that being said, we're going to need some charcoal, we're going to need some sand, and then we're going to need to build some buildings. Well, to start with, what generates sand and charcoal? So Slash and Burn Farmer could get us some charcoal. The charcoal burner could get us some charcoal at the expense of some wood. That's probably not bad actually, so we'll go for that one, so that's our first card. Pit Worker gets us sand based on the number of sand pits we have. The Pond Builder gets us sand based on the number of ponds we have. So basically either of these will get us two sand. So we'll go for the Pond Builder, and then the third one is probably not going to get used at this point, so we might want to just double down on either sand or charcoal to ensure we get those. So we'll probably go for the supplier then over here. And then the rest of these will be available as 2 in this next round. Okay, so these are the 3 cards we've picked. And the very first bit we get 1 random card. So the game basically says sort of shuffle them up and then choose one at random. Well, because I'm one-handed at this point, shuffling is going to be a tad difficult, so I'm going to use the die to randomize. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Die says 3, so the charcoal burner. So the charcoal burner is 1 wood, so we'll use one of our wood. and will generate 3 charcoal. And then that will get us the brick that we need. So normally, in a normal game, when you play a card and you are the only person to play it, you get the benefit of top and bottom actions. In a solo game, because you are the only person, so you are going to be the only person to play a card anyway, you just get either the top or the bottom, your choice. So for the charcoal burner, however, it doesn't matter, it's just 3 charcoal. And that gets discarded. Then we come to the supplier and the pond builder. Well, because there are only 2 cards left now, we get our choice of the remaining card, and then the final one is just discarded straight away. So we'll go for the pond builder, which is we'll go for the 1 sand per pond option. So looking at our very nice layout here, we have 2 ponds, so that will give us 2 sand. And then that will also generate the glass that we need. So all good, and then those 2 just get discarded, and they'll come back into the game later on. So next round, we are playing 4 cards, or we are choosing 4 cards. So we've got the glass we need to build the carving workshop. We have the brick we need for the glazier's workshop. But unfortunately, the glazier's workshop, as well as requiring wood and brick, also requires clay, and we just used our last clay to make our first brick, so we need some more clay. So the pit worker would get us clay, as well as another sand pit, which would make us more clay down the line. The clay worker would spend one of our water to get 2 clay. So we'll go for the pit worker, because that's 2 clay anyway, since we have 2 sand pits and we don't have to waste the water to do it. We want to build a building, so that would be the cultivator. We'll build us 1 building. And then we'll have... So if we build a building, we're going to need to then generate some more resources later on. So we're going to need some more food. But if we come over to the carving workshop, we see that we can get food for wood. So basically what we need now is a large supply of wood. And you can get wood from either the woodcutter, by chopping down trees as it indicates, the carpenter, but that's a slightly poorer return in the wood department for that. The forest manager will get you wood, and you won't have to lose anything to do so. So I think we'll go for the forest manager. And then we get 1 more card. And in the glass department, we are looking rather short on charcoal and sand. So how can we get extra charcoal or extra sand? Well, the slash and burn farm will get us charcoal in exchange for one of our forests. And there is no other way apart from the water carrier, but that's not a great return. 1 food for 1 sand would also get us water, but we're not too bad on water at the moment. So we will go for the slash and burn farmer. So that is now our 4 cards that we can choose from. So again, we'll just randomize those. So that is number 4, which is the slash and burn farmer. So we have to give up one of our forests. Well, let's do this one that's nicely out of the way. Some buildings, when you place them, will generate stuff based on adjacency of other things. So if we kind of move ones out of the way that are kind of in the corner, then hopefully that will allow those buildings to get greater effect if they're sort of placed in the middle of other areas. And we've removed 1 forest, so we get, in this case, 2 charcoal. Now, unfortunately, we can't split the charcoal. You may notice that there is charcoal on both of the production wheels. You can only add it to 1 wheel, though, so we will do it for our glass wheel. Give ourselves 2 charcoal there. And that is that. That then gets discarded. So now we're down to Pit Worker, Cultivator, Forest Manager. That's a 2, so that's the Pit Worker. That was going to generate the sand that we needed. So we have 2 sand pits, one there, one there. So that is 2 sand. Now we don't generate glass just yet because the food is still holding us back. So we will resolve that now by choosing as our remaining card, because we're now down to 2, we can have 1 card chosen of our choice. So we'll go for the Cultivator. That will build, well, it will either build if we want 1 pond, sandpit or forest, but we want to build an actual building. So we're going to come for the carving workshop first. So that requires 1 wood and 1 glass, and we can place it wherever we like. We'll just tuck it in the corner here. Once buildings are built, you cannot move them. They are down for the duration of the game. So that's fine where it is at the moment. So we need to spend 1 glass, 1 wood. And now we can immediately use the ability. That's interesting. If we use the ability to exchange wood for food straight away, we will move the food up, but we will move the wood down, which will again stop us from producing glass. So we'll definitely need to get some wood sooner rather than later. So we'll hold off on using that for the time being, but that's just there for when we need it. The Forest Manager, which would have generated this wood, will now go out for the time being, which is fine. We'll get that back as the game progresses. So we're on to round 3, where we choose 5 cards, and this building will now come into play. So that's the Potash Manufacturer, which is good for charcoal by exchanging water and wood. So we get these cards to choose from, plus we get the cards that were discarded in the very first round, because these have now come back around to us. In round 4, these cards that were just discarded last round will then come back into effect. So they kind of cycle on a two-turn cycle. So these are now available to us. So we definitely want some wood. So the woodcutter is probably a good option. We want to build that glazier's workshop, which is going to require wood. So yes, definitely the woodcutter. We've got the brick, but again we're going to need the clay for that glazier's workshop. So let's figure out how to get some clay, shall we? Well, the clay worker now isn't looking too bad, so we'll use him to generate some clay for us. We're picking 5 cards, so we're probably going to have an overabundance of cards here. It might be worth trying to replenish some of that water we're going to use, which we can then use for making more glass. So the pond builder. Yes, pond builder. So that's 3. We have 2 more. We definitely want a building card. So the builder will do it, but that requires food. The supplier will build a building for us for free, so we'll take him. And then 1 more. We'll go for the feudal lord, and we will have a sort of potluck, probably a potluck of buildings we can get, or a clay and a wood, which is not a bad thing. So we'll take the feudal lord as well. So that is our 5 cards we've selected. So again, we'll randomise with a die. So that's a 3. So clay worker it is. And I realise this cultivator should have gone out into the discard from last turn. So clay worker. So he spends, or trades, 1 water to gain 2 clay for us. And then that will generate another brick. And now we have the clay we need to build the glazier's workshop. So he goes out. Next one. That's 5. Well, that's not in the cards. We only have 4 left, so I'll re-roll that. That's a bit hot. That's a 4. That is the Feudal Lord. So, what have we got left? So we're going to get the Feudal Lord now, and then we'll have, out of these 3 remaining, Pond Builder, Woodcutter, or Supplier. Well, we can definitely choose the Supplier, even as our guaranteed card at the end. So the Pond Builder or the Woodcutter will be our random card, and then one will get discarded. So if we go for the Feudal Lord, the bottom ability, to get clay and wood, that will mean we either won't need the wood from the Woodcutter, and if we have to, we'll be a bit short on water from the Pond Builder. So, yeah. So we'll go for the Feudal Lord's bottom ability, which is the clay and the wood. So 1 clay, 1 wood. And he goes out. So now we're up to these 3 remaining. Die says 1, so that's the Pond Builder. That's fine. So that's going to be either 2 sand or 2 water, based on our 2 ponds that we have. So we'll go for the 2 water. We'll bring this back up to 3. So we've got quite a nice supply of everything but food. And now we can go ahead and use 1 wood as per our carving workshop to trade for 2 food. So wood goes down, food goes up by 2, generating more glass for us. Excellent. Pond Builder is out. So now we have our choice of either the Woodcutter or the Supplier. We definitely want the Supplier for that building. So Woodcutter is out, Supplier is the one that is used for, again, the building, and we're going to build the Glazier's Workshop. So that requires 1 wood, 1 clay and 1 brick. And we have no wood left. That is unfortunate. I keep forgetting that when you turn the wheel round, you use up some of your resources, so sometimes it is necessary to have a buffer of something you're not fussed about having 0 of to stop other resources being used up. In that case, we cannot build the building we want with the Supplier, so we will go for 1... Well, let's have a look then. So again, we have our choice. So we still could go for the Supplier, or we could go for the Woodcutter in this case. Looking back on what our options are now, in hindsight, the Woodcutter is the better option, so we're going to spend 1 wood in this case. So we'll just remove one of these from our board. And we'll get us 2 wood. So that will immediately spend 1, but now we will have plenty for building the Glazier's Workshop next turn, as well as having plenty of glass available to buy extra buildings. Okay, so Woodcutter goes out, Supplier goes out, and we are on to, how many cards is that? 5, so we're on to round 4, and now we are choosing 6 cards. So again, we have these left in our available options, and these ones now come into play. So definitely the cultivator, he comes back round again, very useful for building that building we need, the Glazier's Workshop. We constantly seem to be having problems with wood, so maybe the forest manager, which we can then turn into food if necessary, or just generate straight up food. Either way, yep, forest manager. Now looking at the goods, we're going to need food, and then we're going to need more of everything else. So what have we got building wise that may help us here? The reed hut might not be bad. For 1 clay you get a building that will allow you to generate... Now is that taking off the pond? Must be, surely. Have a look at the rulebook very quickly. Reed hut, remove one pond to gain 2 wood. So yes, that would be removing a pond. Possibly not the best if you have to start removing these, because these are tricky to get back on the board. Unlike buildings, which stay where they are when they're placed, these resource areas, once they're removed, and you can remove them at any time if you wish to do so anyway, they are difficult to get back on again unless you use certain cards, such as the I think, which one is it that can produce, the cultivator can produce more of these resource areas if you want to do so. So maybe not the Reed hut. District offices, remove 2 buildings from your private offer, which you can get from your feudal lord, to put stuff back on. That's nice because that is also 3 points, plus it's building with glass, but also wood. Yeah, I kind of like the sound of the district offices. So glaziers, district offices, right, okay. So we're going to go for the cultivator, we're going to go for the forest manager to get us some more wood. In that case, that would definitely be the glass that we need and the wood that we need. So maybe some more wood might be in order. What else do we have here? The fuel collector would get us wood in exchange for water. So fuel collector, and then we're looking at what else we've got here. The pit worker maybe for more sand to generate more glass, so we'll take the pit worker. We're choosing 6 cards, so we have another 2 to pick. Slash and burn farmer again, but I don't necessarily want to get rid of more forest just yet, because I have been depleting our forests, our wooded areas, quite a lot. And if there are any buildings that come up that make use of those, then we don't want to get rid of too many. So maybe not the slash and burn farmer just yet. Could be the charcoal burner, but that is getting rid of wood, and we are going to need quite a bit of it at the moment. Fish farmer. We are low on charcoal. In fact, we're quite low on everything apart from clay, really. So maybe the builder then, and we'll see if we can probably get 2 builds out depending on how well we manage our food situation. So we'll try the builder, and then we'll pick a final card, which will probably just be a wasted card that we don't use so much. So we won't necessarily need the carpenter just yet, so he can probably get to put round, so that we'll knowingly get rid of him and he'll just come round to the next discard when they come round again. So we have our 6 available cards. So die says number 1, that is the fuel collector, which is fine. Now this is good, we've got either 1 water for 2 wood, or 1 water for 1 charcoal per card in our hand, and we basically have 5 cards left in our hands. That would be 5 charcoal or 2 wood, and we're going to get wood from the forest manager. Let's have a look, let's have a quick think. So we need to build, at the moment, we're going to try and build the glazier's workshop, which is 1 wood, and we're going to try and build the district offices, which is also 1 wood. And we have currently a total of 1 wood. So the forest manager will probably get us all the wood that we need. And if we necessarily can fall back on the carpenter, but that would remove our ability to build. So we'll see about that bit, but for the time being, yes, I think we are okay on wood, or we are going to be okay on wood. So 1 water for 5 charcoal is exceptional return. So that, and then we'll bump up. We have charcoal on both. We don't need much more in the way of bricks, I don't think, so we'll go for 5 charcoal on our glass making area, so that's going to give us 6 charcoal, more than enough probably for the rest of the game. In fact, it might be worth trying to figure out if we can get a points building that gives us points for charcoal if we can go through those. So we'll see. But for the time being, that is the fuel collector out of the game, out of the round in the discard pile. So next we have 5 cards remaining. Dice is 5, that is the carpenter. So now I think we'll build. We may not get round to the ones that we require later on, so we'll definitely use the carpenter to build now. So that will give up one of our forests, another one of our forests. Take that one off. For either one wood or one build, or we'll go for the build. We'll definitely build the Glazier's Workshop now. So we'll come down and we'll just tuck it down here, out the way. So that requires one wood, one clay and one brick. So one brick, one clay, and one of our wood. Excellent. And now that is generating points for us based on the glass that we use. So now we really want to start our output of glass and our consumption of glass in earnest. Next card. Dice is 4, so the pit worker. So now we can either generate more sand or more clay. Excuse me, a quick drink. Okay, so we could actually put down, well, now we have quite a bit of free space in our territory, we could actually put down another sandpit and generate some clay. We have some sand and we have almost the maximum amount of glass. So actually, putting down another sandpit and it will generate us clay anyway, probably isn't the worst thing in the world. So we will take one of our pits, we will put it there just in case we get, as I said, a building that benefits from adjacency to sand pits. And that will consume the pit worker. And did I give myself the clay? I don't think I did. So that's our clay there. That's out the game. So 3 cards. 3 and 4 would be the forest manager. So that is going to be the wood that we need. So 2 wood, or again 1 forest and 1 wood. Now might be the time to generate extra forests. So let's see, we're going to have the cultivator and the builder remaining, and we'll choose the cultivator for our other build, which will use up a wood. So if we choose the forest manager top option, we're going to get the wood that we need anyway. So that's fine. We'll choose the top option there, which will give us an extra forest to place out and an extra wood. Whoops, there we go. So that's the forest manager done with. And now we get our choice of cultivator or builder. We're definitely going to use the free build of the cultivator. Builder gets discarded, and so the free build will be the district offices. So it requires 1 wood, 1 glass. So we now have that wood we needed and the glass that we needed, which is again an extra point based on the Glazier's Workshop, which is good. And the district offices is worth 3 points, plus we get to put out other bits and pieces if we remove 2 buildings from our private offer. So the feudal lord is going to start coming into effect, I suspect. And that is the end of our turn. So we refill the buildings. So sawmill generates quite a bit of wood for us and is worth 2 points. And the clinker plant, that requires a lot of wood, unfortunately. So maybe not the one to go for. But it does use up glass. So looking ahead for the future, we want to build something that ideally requires glass, and gets us a few points into the mix as well. So pottery requires glass, the clinker plant requires glass, the potter's parlour does not, and the watermill does not, so ideally one of these two. Looking at the top row, it's just the farmstead that requires glass, and we can exchange ponds for food and water. We do have the 2 clay actually for the farmstead, and we do have the 1 glass that the farmstead needs, so maybe the farmstead. Although, thinking about it, it's now worth trying to get, if we possibly can, another resource point building, and then trying to maximise points to use for that as well. So maybe the clinker plant after all, and that requires, that gives us 1 point per brick used, so like the glazier's workshop, which is 1 point per glass used, but as of the moment we have only built with 1 brick. So unfortunately not the best thing in the world. So maybe the pottery then. So pottery is going to require 1 glass, which we have, the clay, which we have, 2 bricks. So actually we could try and combine pottery and clinker plant. We'll see. That's for next round. So in the meantime, we have cards remaining. We are into round 5. So round 5 we only get 3 cards now to choose from. And the ones that were in the very left discard pile now come back into availability. So we get woodcutter, pond builder, the feudal lord, and so forth. And we get 3 of these to choose from. Well, I think the feudal lord is now definitely a good option to go for, so we'll tick him. And then we're going to need more wood, more food and more water in order to generate more glass, in order to build with more glass. So, food, wood and water. And what do we have? Well, the water carrier will give us water and wood, but in exchange for food, unfortunately. The fish farmer will require us to use a charcoal, and that will give us 2 food or 1 food per pond. Well, we have an abundance of charcoal, so fish farmer is probably good right now. Charcoal burner, nope, we've got plenty of charcoal, Giving up wood, giving up woods for wood. Using water, we have no water. Pond builder would get us water. And then the supplier. We don't need to build anything just yet. We're still thinking about that. So maybe the pond builder and the fish farmer. So we'll take those 2. Although we've only got 3 cards to choose from, and we're only get 2 available actions, so it might be worth trying to save one of these for next turn and just putting a throwaway card in its place. So actually, if we utilise the pond builder now and then the fish farmer afterwards, which will get us 1 food per pond, that would, yes, because also once we've used the feudal lord and gotten buildings into our private offer, we can then put even more ponds out as per the district offices. So yes, we'll save the fish farmer for the time being, which means we will just want 1 throwaway card. Well, the charcoal burner, because we've got plenty of charcoal now, so he'll be our throwaway card. So there are our 3. It really doesn't matter at this point what the randomizer says. Well, that's actually a tell lie, because the randomizer could always pick the charcoal burner for us, which would have been a poor choice. But we're fine with the feudal lord, so we'll take him. We will add 1 building from each stack to our private offer. Well, obviously in a solo game it's not so private, but there we go. So there are our 3 buildings we have. We have the extension, the landscaper and the office. So this is our this is our ongoing benefit building. which will be removing one building from our private offer and gets us resources. The landscaper is our one time only. We'll just double check the rulebook to figure out what the special ability is. So immediately carry out the following action any number of times. Oh, okay, I see. So it's only when it's placed, but yeah, you can place, you can remove one pit, one sand pit to get 2 clay and 2 sand. Okay. Or the extension, which is 1 point per adjacent building. So this would have been incredibly useful if we, say, had put the glazer's workshop up there, and then we could have put the extension in the middle and got us 3 points for it. 3 points may not sound a whole lot, but Glass Road is a low point scoring game. So basically every point counts. And this requires no glass to build with. The landscaper does require 2 glass to build with. And the office requires 1. And we have the 1 for the office plus the 1 for the clay. We are short 1 glass and 2 clay, as you can see, for the landscaping office. Plus, I'm not 100% convinced the return on that is going to be worth it. So I think we'll probably save the office. So now, if we come to our district offices, it says remove 2 buildings from our private offer, and we can put down one of our resource areas. So we're going to remove the extension, and we're going to remove the landscaping office, and those will just go out, which leaves us the office in our private area, which we will now then try and build. So coming back to our actions, we now have our choice of charcoal burner or the pond builder. Well, we're going to go for the pond builder, so that leaves the charcoal burner out. Feudal order's already been used, so now we have, oh, and I should have put down one of our available resources, which is going to be the pond. So we'll take a pond, we'll place it just there, which now leaves us 3 ponds. So now we come to the pond builder, and we can get water for ponds, so we'll get 3 water. Because we have 3 ponds, which is very handy. Okay, done. And then we need to start trying to figure out how to build the office. Okay. So round 6, the penultimate round, we are drawing 4, so we have these cards available to us, plus again the ones from the very first discard, which now comes into effect. So we've got fuel collector, carpenter, pit worker, and builder and cultivator, and the forest manager. So the cultivator will probably be the one we use for our building of our office that we've got. So we'll take the cultivator. We need more food and we need more wood in order to generate more glass. So food and wood. Do we have? No, we do not have. Where's it gone to? No, we do have the forest manager, I tell a lie. So the forest manager now generates wood as per the forest we have, and because we spent time getting that extra forest into our area, that's now going to be 3 wood. And then we can turn one of those wood into 2 food via the carving workshop. So that will solve both of our food and wood problems. Now then, let's see. So if we get 3 wood, that will come round to 3. Just place that there. And then if we exchange 1 wood for 2 food, that will then shift round. Right, and we'll still have 1 of each. And then we'll need some more sand. Okay, so that is fine. Good. So yes, if we use the forest manager, which means that we're going to have the glass and we're going to have the clay for the office. So now we want to get some more sand. Well, the pit worker would do that for us. So yes, we'll take the pit worker, which leaves us with These available cards, maybe the supplier, which will build for us and generate a good for us, so that's a kind of contingency card just in case the ones we want don't come up, so we'll go for the supplier. Okay, and we'll just move these out of the way. So that's our 4 cards that we have available to us. Dice says number 2, so that's the forest manager. Excellent. That's going to be the wood that we need based on the forest. So we have 3 forests. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to get 3 wood for it. So that's the 3 wood. Forest manager goes out. And now we will activate the carving workshop to exchange wood for food. Is that worth doing it now? Yes, we'll activate the carving workshop now to get wood for food. So that will give us 2 food in exchange for 1 wood, and then that generates another glass for us. And another side benefit of generating so much glass is that if we have available glass left over at the end of the game, we get a point for it based on our forest glassworks. So always good to have glass on hand. Alright. That was our action. So the next one is the 5-6 is the pit worker. So this was going to be the sand. We've got enough clay for the time being, so yeah, we'll go for the sand per sand pits. So we've got 1, 2, 3 sand pits, will get us 3 sand. So that is 3 sand, and that is now even more glass. So at the maximum level we have for glass. So even if we generate more food or more wood, more food and more wood, because we need both of them to shift out, then this would still not move round because you can only have a maximum of 3 glass at any one time. Same for bricks. So that was our pit worker being used up. And then we have our final card, which doesn't matter, it's either the cultivator or the supplier, but it's going to be the building option, and then the other one will get removed. So we will build our office. This requires 1 glass and 1 clay. So clay has been used, glass has been used, and we build our office, and we'll plonk it down here. Will we get... We might get more adjacency buildings, but it's unlikely, so we'll put it there. And that will generate more points, and we can remove buildings from our private offer to get goods if we need it now in the final round. So we have these cards available to us, and then these ones come back in. So again, the Feudal Lord, which we will definitely go for, I believe. So it's going to be worth trying to do a build if we get a good building from the Feudal Lord. So what cards do we have building wise? Well, the Carpenter would allow us to build, and we'd have to remove a forest. That's fine, we have more forests than we need at the moment, so that's good. We're choosing 5 cards, so that was 2 of them, the Feudal Lord and the Carpenter. It might be worth trying to generate then resources just in case we need them for building. So the resources that were required for building are always going to be wood, glass, clay, and bricks in varying amounts. So we have glass in abundance, we have enough clay, hopefully. So we need wood and bricks. We have enough bricks, hopefully. So we need either clay and wood. So we have 1 clay and we have no wood. So in that case then, it might be worth trying to go for the woodcutter. Will get us some wood just in case. So we'll go for the woodcutter. The clay worker will get us more clay just in case. We can remove buildings from our private offer to generate a good that we need as per the office, which is very good. So actually we'll probably be fine for buildings. for resources. So, is it worth going for? We'll go for the. We need food actually. We need to get some food because if we need more bricks or we need more glass, we're going to need either food on the resource wheels. So food would come from the fish farmer, and we have still more charcoal than we need, so we'll go for the fish farmer and get us some food that way. So that was our fourth card. We have one left to choose from, and we'll probably go for maybe the slash and burn farmer, just in case we need food that way. Okay, so that's our 5. And then these are no longer required because we're at the final turn of the game. So these are our available options. Oops, I thought that rolled off. So carpenter. So that's going to be 1 build or 1 wood. So this is unfortunately the problem with the randomizer. We wanted the feudal lord to come out first because then we'd have a look at what buildings we can get. Do we have any other builds? No, we do not. This is a problem. Well, can't solve it now. So, carpenter will give up. Well, let's have a look then in case and see if there are any other buildings we can build using the carpenter, which will get us resources. Get us points, or use glass in order to make the most of the glazier's workshop. So the clinker plant, we are still not enough resources for that. Can't build a farmstead because unfortunately that is 2 clay and we only have the 1 clay. That's not glass and that's no points. That is points for the potash manufacturer. That's too many resources. For the grain house, that's no points. But it would get us a glass. We'll have a think about that one. The water tower. Oh, that's a lot of bricks though. We don't have enough bricks for that. Lumber storage. We do have the sand. That's the point. That's a lot of wood as well, which we might need. So we'll go for the lumber storage, I think. Because basically, we'd only use the carpenter for getting wood anyway. So if we use the carpenter for its build, we build the lumber storage, that will get us 4 wood and a point as well. So that's good. So carpenter is out, and we used it for its build, so we'll take off one of these. Put a lumber storage there. So that gets us 4 wood straight up on the resource wheel. Excellent. Okay. Next action. 5. We have no 5th cards. We have no 6th card. We do have a 1 card. So slash and burn farmer. This is utilising more more forest land for charcoal or food. Well, we've got enough charcoal, so it's going to be the food option. So we will take off 1 forest and we'll get us 2 food. So that comes down to there. Generates 1 more glass for us, and that's, if nothing else, an extra point as per the forest glassworks. Done with that one. So 3 to 4 will be the woodcutter. So that's another forest gone for even more wood. Well, okay then. You do not have to use a card if you don't want to, but in this case I see no reason why we wouldn't want to, so we'll take off that. Gets us 2 wood. So now we're down to our last 2. There is no benefit to using the fish farmer, so feudal lord, and we'll pick 3 of them. Let's see, so we get 1 of each stack. And the feudal lord is out, as is the fish farmer. So let's look at our final choice for the end of the game. We have coal storage, builder's depot, or the shingles manufacturer. We cannot build any of these, but we can get rid of some of them. We can get rid of one building. You can utilize these as many times as you wish, so we can get rid of all three basically to generate resources. Now if we generate enough resources, we can actually build more bricks. So if we generate one food, that will give us one more brick, and if we generate one water, that will not give us unfortunately an extra glass because we're at maximum glass. But we could generate more sand because we get half a point per one sand. So we'll get rid of all three of these, and we'll get, as per the office, one food and two sand. So one food, which will then get us an extra brick, and two sand, which will be then used for points in the glassmaker's colony. Okay, that was the final action of the game. So now you just basically tally up all your points as per on your board. So you can see we've got 1 point per glass from the Forest Glassworks, 3 glass, so that's 3 points. We've got half a point. Now you don't round these. If you get half a point, you get half a point, that's it. So half a point per one sand for the glassmaker's colony. We have 3 sand, so that's 1.5 points for a total of 4.5. We have 1 point per brick, so that's 2 bricks, so that's another 2 points for 6.5. We've got the lumber storage, which is a point, 7.5. We have the carving workshop, which is a point, 8.5. We'll come back to the laborer's workshop in a second. We have district offices, which is 3 points for 11.5. The office here, which is 2 for 13.5. And then the glazier's workshop, which is 1 point per glass used. So we were at 13.5, and then we've got 14.5, 15.5, 16.5 for the glass that we've used. So our final score is 16.5 points. Unfortunately, the rulebook does not come with a table of scoring, but it does say that in a solo game, 30 points is a very respectable score. So about halfway there. So all in all, that was pretty good. So that was a solo game of Glass Road. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.